What's up, everybody? It's Kavon with Functional Fitness VA, and today we're working some ankle mobility. Working all types of ankle mobility. Why do you need ankle mobility? Well, because you need it. Uh, Mostly for us here in the weight room or in the gym, squatting, right? We want to squat deep. You need those ankles to be able to move so you can get that forward shin position so you can get deep into a squat. Why are deep squats good? Because deep squats are good. There we go. Well, ankle mobility is good for all sorts of things. We see it most restrictive in the deep squat, and there's all sorts of other parts of your body that matter in the deep squat: knee, hips, feet, balance. But if your ankles don't move, you're not getting any of those. So let's start by moving through your ankles. Something simple and easy like a gas pedal from a seated position, back and forth, getting the tissue to move, right? The fascia, a little bit of the muscle, a little bit through the joint. Nothing too aggressive. That doesn't mean it can't feel icky. Here with a single leg kind of flossing move or single leg gas pedal, regardless of where the other parts of your body are, right? So again, this is more a systemic thing, let's call it, or like the posterior chain for all the way from like your plantar fascia, bottom of your foot, through the back of the calf, knee, hamstring, all the way up into the glute. Maybe even a little low back in there. So we're just trying to get everything to loosen up and move a little bit so that we can get to some specific parts, i.e. the ankle itself, in a little bit. Again, some toe touches. You don't have to do them on a slant board. Slant board, again, exposes the ankle to a little bit of a dorsiflexion, which again gets that tissue on the backside to move. So any version of those that feels kind of good and kind of bad. Now we'll start with a little loaded half kneeling ankle mobility. I want the kettlebell near my knee, not on my kneecap, not way up near my hip, because I want this weight to push down and forward into my shin, therefore my ankle. So I drive forward, let the weight help me go down. I think about pulling my toes towards my knee or pulling my knee forward, pushing it forward. Again, the weight's helping, but also I have to push out of the bottom. So I'm active. So my forefoot, my toes, I push into the ground to drive back and up out of the bottom position every time. So this isn't just a passive thing where we let the weight do all the work. We let it help us and kind of not force, but guide us deeper. Then you work in and out of that position, right? This looks a lot like the half kneeling hip flexor stretch. This isn't. We're focused on that front ankle, but also be mindful of your back. Like if as you're doing this, you're too arched through your back and you feel pain there, don't do it. Now, another version without the load, kind of getting that knee to track or to the outside. You got a stick here outside the pinky toe, and I drive my knee forward and around the stick. Because sometimes if your knee is kind of caving towards the inside as you do any of these ankle mobility things, it gets away from your actual ankle moving. On this one, I have the stick more or less vertical. If it moves a little bit, not the end of the world, but definitely don't let it tip way inside. Then I drive my knee forward and around it, therefore creating a little more, well, movement through the ankle. That's why I say a lot of words when you can say simple words. So another version, you could bring it forward some, still slightly outside, and drive your kneecap to the stick. So it kind of gives you a target goal to push towards, and sometimes that helps so you can really work towards it. Again, don't pull the stick back towards you. Have a target and work towards it. Don't bring the goal line shorter. It's slightly outside the pinky and forward. Now, next one, if we're trying to mobilize directly on the ankle, you throw a band, make sure it's connected to something that's stable behind you. Right? I put it right on the front of my ankle, so it's creating pressure back into the ankle. So as I push forward, that kind of helps create a little space in that joint. Same movement as we've done with the kettlebell and with the stick. From the half kneeling position, I'm driving forward with my knee, kind of keeping it middle of my kneecap on the middle of my foot. After you've done that a few times, and if you want to, you can then add the kettlebell back in the mix. I don't have a video, but you could also add the stick to the mix. This band on the ankle should help free up a little space in the ankle so you can move further through it. All right. You can also, yeah, don't spill your guts. Don't do that. We talked about that a little earlier. Focus on the ankle, but I want to make sure I don't spill my guts here on this and beat up my back. Now I got this pulled back and to the inside at this angle. So doing the same thing here with the band, but creating pressure, again, back into the ankle and to the inside. So I can push my knee forward and slightly to the outside. You can play around with that all you want, but just make sure you're moving through the ankle. Now, getting into some loaded movement here, stretchy, kind of dynamic stretch. I'm doing a single leg standing heel raise. Uh, This is if you're just somewhere and you don't have a ledge to stand on, or you just like this version because I'm putting weight back into my heel as I pull it towards the ground to get my calf to stretch. And then I'm pressing myself up. So my back leg, my left leg is doing all the work here. Watch out for externally rotated or turning the toes out here because, well, a lot of us are duck-footed, externally rotated, and that's kind of where we default. But that'll also get away from some of that ankle mobility. You won't be moving through your ankle as much as if you keep it lined up and straight. So in line here, pull the heel down and back, and then press it up and away. Same kind of thing here on a calf raise from a ledge or a step. Pull the heel down, watch it caving in, and press it away. A single leg version can be kind of intense. I mean, that's all your body weight on one leg. So you could always modify. I'm helping with my hands a little bit here, but I really want to focus on this one ankle. Pull my heel down, stretching through the calf, but loaded. Then push through my forefoot, drive up. And you want to drive up to the end. You don't need to focus too hard on it if you're doing this for a active or dynamic mobility thing. Here I'm assisting with my other foot on the positive because that's harder than the negative, and then controlling slash pulling down. Another version with 2 feet is the two-footer version, right? I like throwing a ball between the ankle here. Yeah, make sure you're in the right spot. Pull the heels down, then drive up. You want your feet in line, not externally rotated, because again, that gets just a little bit away from the ankle mobility. If you want to do that as a calf exercise, fine. But for the mobility ones, mostly we want to be straight in line. And that ball there helps you not like deviate where your foot's caving in. You can certainly do it without, but yeah, you're more apt to lose the position without the ball, heels in, ankles rolling out, all that stuff, which again, for muscle building purpose, you want to do a different time, fine. But if I'm trying to mobilize, I want to move through the ankle, right? Getting that calf muscle to get as long as possible and then drive up. So there's a little further away, same kind of deal, same exact movement with the ball. You can see the body is more or less straight above it. Now, speaking of straight body, if you don't have a step or you just like this version better, you can lean into a wall and do the same thing. You can throw the ball between your ankles, but presumably if you don't have a step, you don't have your setup. So anywhere you are, you could just lean into a wall and do the same thing from there. Once you've done all those things, you mobilize the joint, you got the tissue to move, you did a dynamic stretch. Now we got to go back into the movement pattern we're trying to get better at. In this case, the squat doesn't have to be, but this again is where we see a lot of lack of ankle mobility. So load that squat, do it, and focus on moving through your ankles. Adjust your stance if you need to. You can play with that. You can spend time in the bottom. Pull your knee forward. Make sure you're working through that ankle mobility. You don't get away from it with this big external rotation where your feet are caving in. That's just shying away from the thing we're trying to improve, the ankle mobility. So work the movement pattern, load it, and make sure you are addressing the thing that we wanted to get better at. Right? Spend some time down here, sit, relax, enjoy the deep squat because it's a fun place to be. So those are some tools and tricks that you could use to mobilize your ankles, and then recheck it by going into your movement pattern, play with it, have fun, and have mobile ankles.